Good evening. It is Friday night. As normal, it's a sip and chat flow, and Daryl and I is rocking it out for the moment. So we're gonna send some prayers and positive thoughts out to Doc and her family. Um, and maybe she'll be able to join us and maybe not. But in the meanwhile, we just want to make sure we send some positive energy her way. Um, Daryl, how you doing this evening?
I am doing well this evening. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been an interesting week, but I'm good.
I see you rocking it. Is that the Lincoln shirt? You over there
Absolutely
representing? Over there representing?
representing. Yes, I'm always representing, but now I got this shirt on. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't put, keep Lincoln family in prayer as well. Even us as alumni, when something happens to one of our family members on the yard, we're all, kind of unified as one. So just want to kind of, give them a moment of prayer as well.
Right.
Somebody said, which I was like, okay, if I can go through the screen of the face of book, they was like, well, at least they didn't have any guns, but there was still a fatality. Like, I don't understand.
Right. A weapon, and if you it can cause someone to die. It's the same
Right,
thing. But I guess they're
right.
saying they didn't have. You could have a gun. You could have a lot more fatalities in a shorter amount of time. A knife you got to kind of. But either way, I wouldn't. It's still a horrible incident.
Right, right. And it just, kind of just puts a post-it note on the fact of um emotional wellness and emotional health is important. Like no matter what setting that you're in, no matter how old you are, there are things that are going on that people need to process. So,
Right. Right.
um with that being said, our our discussion flow. I'm sorry, did you want to add something else before we jump into our discussion flow?
No, no, no. Let's get into it.
Let's jump. Let's jump. Um so our discussion flow for this week is talking about work-life balance. Relationships that you have at work, do they cultivate fear, intimidation, and or even the imposter syndrome? Um
Mm,
which in these days and times with the hybrid work situation and everything like that, like it you can kind of experience a whole bunch of different emotions, moods, things if you try and position yourself for promotion or
hmm
pay
hmm
increase or stabilizing your household just in general. It's a lot that can come with this work life balance thought process. What you got?
I mean, it's tough at times. The balance. I mean, I know some people who, their work first, and they do everything for the job. They tell on everything. They do everything, and most of them don't get anything in return for all this extra work they're doing. They're not getting paid for, which
Right.
it has to be stressful. It has to be.
Right.
Um, but they're doing it jockeying for a position now, and it depends on the type of job. Depending on what raises are based off. Um, if they're like incentive based or they're steps. So sometimes I know I had a job where there were steps, so it was kind of somewhat less backbiting. We couldn't get you anywhere because everybody got the same pay no matter what you did. If you did the most or the least, you were
Right.
getting the same increase at that time. But the one job that was incentive based, it was really crazy. Everyone was trying to step on each other and I think that made for a very toxic work environment,
Mm-hmm.
because you were really fighting to the person next to you to get ahead, and you would do anything you could to get ahead and put them down. They just came. They were 10 minutes late. It was really like that. It was crazy, and I had to get
Right.
out of that job because I just couldn't keep up with that energy that you would have for. You had to do the job, but then you also had to watch who's next to you to kind of jockey to get them out the way.
And it's like a job within a job,
Right.
like it's the job that you interview for and got hired for, and then you get in and you end up learning the culture of the
Right.
team that you working with, and you like, okay, I don't know if I choose to balance these things, or this is kind of like more than what I bargained for, because it's taking too much
Oh yeah,
emotional capacity.
I wasn't built for it. I wasn't built for it. I didn't have that energy to worry about what you're doing. I just couldn't,
Right,
you know. And then
right.
the way I'm set up when you're in my business, um, I'm saved, but I'm not that saved. I can't smack the taste out your mouth. I'm gonna save the smack for you. So,
You might need a little forgiveness talk real quick. Like,
right,
wait a minute.
right.
I was approachable and I'm nice and neat, and we could pray about it. However,
Yeah,
um,
I'm good. I'm good at asking for forgiveness.
right, I'm gonna have to ask for forgiveness, because you asking me to do way more for
Right,
this
right, right,
job
right,
than what I
right,
thought. And that comes with a slippery slope too, like believing that you're being asked for more.
right, right.
Hello, Camp.
Hi, how are y'all?
Camp,
She got the deep voice. We're doing fine.
right.
Mm-hmm.
She
Ready by now. I do.
did it with the Barry White.
Yeah, she came in with the Barry White, like, how y'all
Yeah,
doing?
I had to check my level. Say I'm doing well.
You look lovely with your hair up and your earrings.
Thank
I
you.
also wanted to, take a moment to say, hey, Dan, thanks for stopping by, for the conversation. I assume you were just passing through, but we appreciate you. Um, so like this, when I say it's a slippery slope, like, people say, well, I want this promotion, or I want, to kind of like move up and do different things, in the, like in the workspace. But when you're asked to do extra, or you already doing extra and nobody is like even checking for you, like how does that work for, like, just kind of making sure that everybody on the team is on the same page?
Well, that's why you have sometimes those meeting after meetings that set different parameters from the bigger meeting, and that's where people sometimes have these ideologies where they're supposed to do extra, where it was kind of said, kind of, sort of, but if you ask anybody, nobody said it. So if it ever came up, like, we didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah, like I ain't trying up for that.
Mm-mm. You was watching who? Ain't nobody say to watch nobody. Like, everybody's gonna deny that they knew anything about it.
That's interesting, because when you said that, I hadn't thought about this before the conversation this evening, but I know that I have been pulled in to build teams up, kind of deconstruct some of the contamination that's going on and kind of build them back up. And once I did it, to one place, they were like, well, wait, why does she get to check us, or why does she get to let us know that something in our culture is not working well, or why is she talking to the executive director? I was hired to do that.
Mm, mm.
Like, you might have thought, and they kind of slipped me in as the everyday team worker, and I was, but then I also was trying to check in the pulse of the team to see, okay, where can we make some improvements?
Mm.
No, it's never received well.
Uh-uh.
I mean, what
Especially if
they
you
did
think
it kind
someone's
of
a
out of
peer.
deception though too.
Well, yeah, if you think someone's your peer, then you definitely don't want to receive any criticism or feedback, or saying like if we feel that we're the same, how are you going to tell me anything when we're the same? So sometimes that could breed contentment amongst others.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
what gives you the right to tell me anything?
You understand?
Especially if you're younger and they're way older than you, they're not trying to
Right.
feel that. They're like, I'm an
Mm,
elder. Even if they're younger, they're like, I've been here like 10 years. Why
Mm-hmm.
didn't somebody ask me about the culture, or about the
Mm-hmm.
morale of staff, or what's going on in the workplace? Why did somebody new have to be brought in?
Mm-hmm.
But
mm,
I always think an outside perspective is good though.
Because you end up seeing what people don't see.
Right.
mm,
So
mm.
it's like, yeah.
And it's just like, as we continue to think about like these outside individuals being brought in, like, of course, I have learned to navigate these situations way different than I did for some of these earlier experiences. But there's been several times that it's been presented that I was a peer, and I really wasn't a peer at all.
Right.
Like I really was the data collector. And then sometimes the data or the bone that I had to bring to the administration wasn't in the frame or picture that they wanted. So then, yeah, we don't want your outside voice no more.
Yeah, I was asked the other day,
Right.
are you actually a teacher? I was asked that. I was like, somewhat, but I'm more of a specialist.
Mm-hmm.
A specialist? What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't want to know. Just let me do what I've been contracted to do for the moment.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's like, to do what you do, you learn everybody else's job. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to take nobody else's job. So I've just learned to just be quiet and do what I've been hired to do.
But that's actually when the fear comes in, or people have the intimidation by you being the overseer on the outside and kind of paying attention to how certain things work together, how they don't work together. And you're not set. People say, well, they're trying to take my job. They're a contractor, but you could easily hire them in. They try and take my job. And as the from the contractor workforce, ain't nobody trying to take your job. I'm just trying to do my job so I can get this
Right.
invoice
Right.
cleared. And so y'all team could work way better together and understand what the communication breakdowns are.
Because when I look at it, that's a form of like it is fear.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen outside contractors intimidate other people. But then at the end of the day, when I think about it, do I want to work really 60 to 70 hours to do it and only getting paid 40 hours? And do I want to be here that extra time all day, all night? And do
Right.
I want to listen to y'all? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So when I think about it, let me just do my few hours and go the hell home.
Right. And it's, but people, everybody is not built for that whole contractor lifestyle. And like, and Camp, you and I could probably talk about it in a capacity that, Daryl, I'm not sure that you can speak of, because I don't know of you being a contractor at places. You could be. I just don't know.
Yeah, I worked without insurance before.
I love
That's what
how
you
he
see.
said it.
I got full insurance. I got Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't know what
Oh,
you
I
get
talking
it, girl.
do, but
about.
that's out
Hey,
of
they didn't
pocket.
what I got. I ain't get none. I can't take this contract work.
But that's a good one. When you
That's a
said
good one.
I work
That's
without insurance.
right. I worked without insurance before. But it's not even just about that, because there is a different conversation for someone who is a W-2 employee and
Mm-hmm.
feeling fearful and intimidated versus someone who knows that they're only there for 3, 6, 9, months or whatever, and the intentions and how they set the stage and set the table is totally different. Now, will they get the invitation to probably be promoted to something different? It's possible, but it depends on how they manage their business in regards to if that's even an option.
Option, right?
But even with the fear, I feel like it's been a contractor or business owner and coming in. When you start talking to people, people start to realize that they're worth more
Mm-hmm.
and that they can do better. So I try to tread lightly because people be like, so what do you do? And how do you do that?
Right.
And once they start learning the tricks of the trade, they be like, oh, sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might do both.
Because it's a dance to come into. It's not something that you just have that like Daryl said, I worked without health insurance. It's a little bit more to it than that. Hopefully people have learned how to navigate their boundaries. But let's talk about that whole fear, relationship that kind of like develops no matter what your role is, if it's contractor or W-2 employee, like that fear in the workplace and how that impacts your relationships.
I mean, I think jobs that are ran by fear usually are the ones that anxiety is a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
People are scared, walking on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
Those type of environments I don't like to be in.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel that. You can feel that pressure. It's just in the room. You feel that pressure. So I don't like anything where it's ran by fear. And the way I'm set up, it doesn't work well with my with me. It doesn't work well.
Whatever
So,
do you mean with the way you set up? It doesn't work well. Like expound upon that. It not working well with you and fear.
yeah, because I'm not afraid. So I want to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm not afraid to lose a job. All right, I can get another job. I am
You
not
said you're
afraid.
not afraid to lose a job?
Absolutely not. I'm not afraid, and so you can't control me with that fear,
Mm-hmm.
right?
How long did it take you to get there?
Right. And what did that look like? Because
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Because I've always been a little off. So,
Okay.
so what I believe to be true always outdid everything else, and
that's
even to
still
this day,
consistent.
right? Yeah, and that's still consistent. So whatever I believe to be true, I'm going to rock with that. So
Whatever that
if
is.
whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe, good evening,
Good evening,
Good
Facebook
evening.
user.
If you believe, if that, so they can't control me with that fear, because I'm like, hey, listen, I get another job. It is what it is at the end of the day. So it was a little bit of me being stubborn. So it wasn't a good thing at first, because well, when I first started a job, my intentions were to make somebody cry at the job. That was my goal.
That's intimidating.
I don't know. I had issues. I was going in. I was gonna make somebody cry.
Okay.
On the
I hope you
management
work
staff.
those through these days.
Okay, you learn how to make somebody cry?
I would make somebody cry. That would be my goal. Somebody in management staff.
Oh, okay.
I would just do it. I don't know. I had problems, but like I said, so
Audience, I was not expecting that response. So if my face
Right.
expression is like whatever, I was not expecting that response. But go ahead.
I led a lot of revolts at work too. I remember I made everybody walk out one day.
I mean, okay, so when you say revolts, I think I've had some of those too, but not on purpose.
It is so.
But not on purpose.
So crazy when I look back at what I did. We walked out. They had nobody. They was all trying to help control the job because there was nobody there. We walked out, and actually we left and went to another job where we walked out of that one too. Well, we kind of got fired, but it's okay. It happens.
I just tell people to slowly read their HR booklets.
Right. They don't understand it's power.
That's how you know you're right. I need the HR
Right.
booklet, not the dress code, not anything else. Just give me the HR
Right.
booklet so I know how many days I can take off,
Right.
how much I still get paid, how much for tuition reimbursement, what insurance covers.
I'm big on policy, right? I'm very big on policy because practice of a job, what the practice is not outdone by the policy.
Right.
So when you tell me to do something, and I'm like, that's not policy.
Right.
They
don't like that though.
Right. They don't like it, but they can't do much about it
because it's their policy.
It's their policy.
Now, they're going to get you back door.
Right. They're going to get you back door through something else, but you're going to win on knowing the policy that day. So it's very interesting. So I usually get them on policy, and they'll get me on something else. It's what it happens.
It's like a cycle of pettiness to a degree.
It's a cycle, yeah. It is.
Which kind of goes into the last couple of weeks. So we talk about harassment. Like in the workplace, right. If you don't know the policy, then the policy can be utilized as another form of harassment
against you. Yeah,
against you. But it also can be your instructions for how to navigate within the culture that you're working in, because it helps you understand. Well, sometimes what's written in the policy is not the culture of where they work in. So like,
right.
it's that part too.
But what I see is that when you know the policy, that's when they really get you on other things. So like when you know your rights, if anything, that's when they try to get you on something else, because they don't want you to wake up the rest of the people, right?
Exactly.
They want you to spread that knowledge. If I start spreading knowledge, like, you don't have to be in work. They're telling you to come in, but you don't have to. The policy says we don't have to be in here.
That's a strike.
Right? This is policy. They're telling you to come in. And if you come in, right? But policy-wise, you don't have to come in.
You can choose, you're saying. You have a choice.
Do you see me here? I haven't been here. You'll never see me here.
Wow.
Until policy changes. Because policy at this time says X, Y, and Z. Or, and I usually stick to policy. And like I said, that can be the kryptonite to have them back off a little bit too. If they come at you, they know they got to come at you right.
I mean, I I had an intimidation period. Like when people trying to intimidate me, it was a group of men, and it went to the point where the whole just say the a whole network of schools was about to get shut down because I went as far as the EEOC. I do not play, and I don't like to be discriminated against in any
Mhm.
way, any kind.
Mhm.
So it was deep.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
but one thing I do know, you have to be ready to walk away from that job in 30 seconds because
you gotta
sometimes,
be ready to be the martyr sometimes, and I'm okay with
right?
that.
Because right, that, and that's
And it's
me.
going to be
I am
uncomfortable too as you go through that process
right,
of
very much
being
so.
that person, because you're going against the grain. You're not being a follower and being compliant and voluntold for different
That's
situations.
been
So
my whole life.
therefore, so then it's like you know, you end up creating a different culture within the culture that has been created that was working for them. So if they're losing something, they're like, okay, wait a minute. You mean you going with the policy? You going to EEOC? Like, we don't have to go that far. You don't have to do all of that. I mean, like, but you violated me. So yes, those are my rights that I have,
Right.
according to the book that you provided to me upon signing my employment agreement.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. So I just laughed because when I was pregnant with one of my older kids, the one of my, a new doctor gave me the diagnosis of non-compliant. No, you're just not gonna do what you want to do to me. So that's how I just live my life across the board. So I just think you just have to know your rights and just
Hmm.
advocate respectfully for yourself
Mm-hmm.
And I
and
think it's
others
tough
around
to,
you.
and to expound upon that. I think sometimes, um, if you really need that job, it's tough. Now you almost become a slave to that job where you can't feel like you stand up. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful getting into a position where you just need something to the point where now they have you over a barrel. Now they can make you jump through these hoops because you need this job. So I try to put myself in a position where, I like my job. It's cool, but I can walk away from it and sustain myself. So I don't have to, work myself to death. I don't have to do the extra when they say, "Hey, can you stay to 10 o'clock tonight?" And I'm like, "Never." And I don't feel any. And when I say
He
never,
said
I can
never.
walk never. And when I walk away, I feel comfortable walking away, and I don't feel like I feel like there's nothing they can do if they did. So what? And but you
Mm-hmm.
have some people like, okay, I see some people every night working late because
Because
they
once they
know
get
they
the
can get
yes
you.
the one time, they just
Right,
keep moving the ledger, back and back and back and
right,
asking you
right.
over in abundance the next time
Hmm.
and the next time.
And they will burn you out and then just do it to somebody and put them else in
Like
that
burn you
position.
out like some burnt bacon.
Right, and not even care.
There's a pop and crack.
And just put somebody else in there. And
Did you
that's
have
the
to use
issue.
bacon though?
I'm sorry. That's how I think about dry beef bacon, though. It's just kind of, yeah.
Yeah, let's just move away from bacon. That's all.
Okay. But,
Hey, Bruce, we didn't get a chance to say hey.
oh, yeah. So, hey, Ruth. Also, that's just the thing about it. When this stage of revolting, are you setting yourself up like financially, or you making sure that you can live comfortably within your means if something happens, like if you don't have the job, Daryl?
So at one point, no, I just was doing it, and it just I would just be lucky. But now I'm at the position where I'm I'm cool. If the job comes too much, I can walk away at any time. Um, I also have enough time, luckily set up my FU. I call it my FU time. So as soon as they start saying something that starts to bother me, I start getting a headache, and I voiced it out loud. I said, "I'm getting a headache. I'll be back in 3 months." And I have so much time that I can do that easily and get my full pay. So the next time you see me will be in 3 months. It'll be a new season, and I
Mm-hmm.
use that all the time. And because I'm like I said, I'm not going to burn myself out. I'm not going to do anything that I don't feel morally that I should be doing. Nor are you going to talk to me any type of way, right? I don't. Some people have to take people talking to them a certain way, addressing them
Mm-hmm.
a certain way. I am not. right? I believe in returning energy. Whatever energy you come with, I'm going to return with to you. Um, and that's just how I am. So I'm in meetings all the time, and I'm like, well, you said it this way, I said it the same way you said it. Why are you better or worse than me?
So the question I would have is to engineer backwards, even though you did give us the qualifying statement that you always been a little off. For someone who would like to subscribe to the way that you just described, the way that you just said, you always in a position to kind of have the FU days or something like that. If they really are not financially secure that they can feel comfortable or have a support system in place, what would you suggest that they do in this time that they're feeling handcuffed, like they have to work in this work setting until whatever is next?
Make sure they have their resumes out and updated. Have your resume updated and out. I mean, what can you really do if your hands are handcuffed? If you're afraid, like I said, we talk about that fear. If you have that fear of losing the job, then what are you going to do? If you have that fear, if I don't have this job, I can't pay the light bill, it's very difficult to now stand up to whatever it is, But again, you can definitely learn the policy. I would say, if anything, I tell everybody, wherever your job is, learn the policy. Just like Camp said, that gives you some power to maybe help you with certain things. If something's happening that you shouldn't be doing, and you can go to the policy and say, this is not what I should be doing, right? Then you have some power in the policy, and you have to be able to go to the right people as well. I guess you should follow the chain of command. I get always told that I don't follow the chain of command.
I can see that too. I can see that, especially what Camp was even saying. She going to the EEOC. You definitely have to follow the chain of command for your case to be valid from a W-2 standpoint. That's why I had to look up real quick, because I know
I was a W-2 at that time.
I was like, that's a W-2 standpoint.
Right. But it's tough because contingent upon who you're dealing with, they could be the person that stops your grievance there, right? If they're in a position to arbitrate it. So sometimes you have to go over and above. And I know I was told, you can't be the lone wolf all the time out here by yourself. Not that, I guess I can because I'm here.
I mean, but I had to go further. I also,
he did the house sound.
I had a 200 to 300 bullet point list of what needed to be fixed in the whole company. And I CC'd to everybody that worked there, which was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, sometimes I'm a Cancer. It's all or nothing. There's no in between.
Right.
So if you're going to go all the way, I'm going to go out with a bang, however it looks. I
agree, Camp. I want to make sure if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out. You're going to know I'm going out. Everybody over here. Thank you. I'm going.
And if I think about it, has it backfired? Not really.
Okay, so
I'm not going to say it hasn't backfired. I know one time they pulled me in the office and I was told the way that I wanted to run the company was different than the way they wanted to run the company. And
I didn't want to run the company, but yeah.
I didn't think I wanted to run any of this, and we both couldn't exist. And I said, well, I'll be back here tomorrow. Is the company leaving? So I was back there the next day. So I think they were trying to get me to quit or something, something like that. And my mom was like, you never quit. You make sure they have to walk you out. So I was like, no, I'll be here tomorrow.
I agree with that too.
Yeah,
because they tried to get me to apologize, and I wouldn't. For what? I'm not apologetic. I'm not sorry about anything.
Yeah, so we're going to put a disclaimer up here.
Yes,
Myself
please.
and Camp are a little different. We're different, okay?
Yeah, y'all just took this a whole different way. Yes.
Yes. Don't subscribe to this unless you're really about this. You got to be about this life to subscribe to this, right? Because you got to go, like Camp said, you got to be. It's all or nothing once you start moving this way.
Play the fence.
You can't, because if you play in the middle, they're gonna get you. You got to be all or nothing.
But I will say, they were like, "Well, we got to do something about you." I said, okay. Have you made up your mind? They said we could get rid of you. I said, go right ahead. But guess what they did? They promoted me and gave me a raise.
because it does show your tenacity and your strong leadership, in regards to standing in what you stand in versus just allowing somebody to just give you whatever they feel it is that you need or that you deserve.
And mind you, I was like 25 and I was just off the rockers. When I think about it, the stuff that I did in my 20s, I probably wouldn't do now.
He don't subscribe to the signs.
My sign, sexy.
Yeah, see, I was going to. That's why I started when he don't really subscribe to the signs. I could tell you what sign it is.
Yeah, but
because he's that all day, every day.
Okay, that sign, that guy. Actually, I'm
a Capricorn is what they call you.
It's a Capricorn, right?
Yeah,
I knew it was a C. It's a Capricorn.
And it wasn't Cancer like Camp.
No, because I just think you just have to be ready for anything. So I think I'm like, you're gonna fire, like, but see, I wasn't quitting. Right. I was coming to work every day. So if you're gonna fire me, I'm gonna make sure I got my ducks in a row, and then I can file for unemployment. I ain't stupid.
Okay, so let's take a couple steps back because y'all done loaded up the clip. And y'all like taking the shots at the clip, like boom, 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 boom. Y'all doing a whole like situation for the employee who is feeling like, okay, they're in a workspace, they feel intimidated, they're on eggshells. I guess first, like, what does that feel like? And then can we kind of walk them through owning their feelings, paying attention to what their feelings, is, and then what they could do with it. As opposed to just loading up the clip, like.
Well, let's think. I think that you have to know that no matter what position, what you do at your job, you do have some power. You do have some say, right? The job doesn't own you. Sometimes we really feel like the job owns us, and we have to do this, that, or next. And we start to, from the culture, start to do things that maybe we shouldn't do, which becomes the practice now. So now you keep doing something because someone's telling you to, but it's not exactly what you're supposed to do, right? And you feel uncomfortable about saying something. I think there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I love asking questions. I'm like, am I really supposed to clean the toilet? I will ask a question, in a way that to show that I'm not sure I should be doing this.
Right. You're not the building engineer, maintenance.
No.
Right.
And who do I speak to about? I know you're telling me to do this, but who do I speak to about what my position actually entails? So you have to it's okay to ask a question, right? So I would say ask questions, find out who to talk to, because you do want to learn that chain of command, so you don't get your hand smacked when you jump the chain of command. So follow the chain of command. I do believe in putting things in writing, because talking to people gets lost in the translation because people can't hear all of a sudden. I didn't hear that. You didn't tell me that. When do we talk about that? So I do believe in having either a follow-up email after you talk to someone. As we just talked about, you said X, Y, and Z. So we start that paper trail. Paper trail is very important. I use paper trails to save myself many a times because I keep everything well documented.
Absolutely.
This life, living the life I live, you need receipts. Okay.
Oh yeah, also with this book, I got 2 Five Below books, a couple of them. One for my how I felt, like anecdote notes, how people made me feel during the day, or if I need to get it out, toss it in the burner, or just keep it. And then another book for all the communication, even pacing the hallway, even bathrooms. So I wrote everything down. Time, day, who I talk to, who they refer to. But also make sure when people see you with the same books, you keep them close because people steal your stuff.
Oh, right. Listen, I know we had a problem at this one job where they would change the notes in the computer. So
absolutely.
So I would always print them out. And and it's time and date stamped on there when you print it out. And I'm like, wow, at 5:30, my note looked a lot different than at 5:35. I don't know how that happened.
So especially when you're working in a system, and when you say that, it makes me recall that you are in the state of New Jersey, and it makes me think about a position that I had in the state of New Jersey where everything was in that electronic system.
Right.
And
Right.
you know, so yes, you do have to print out so that you can have that time date stamp of what it was that you actually said, because between Big Brother or an electronic system like the state of New Jersey uses for working with families, listen, your
It was
best bet, it's a lot of work, but once you get into this place of feeling that you are being probably picked on or some kind of fearful something, or that you have to document what your conversations were, you definitely should be printing out. And it might be a big folder, like a big folder.
Oh, absolutely. But it comes in handy because, like, usually I will put in so and so instructed me to do so and such, and sometimes it would have the so and so will be taken out.
Mm-hmm.
That name who instructed you to do such is now gone. They don't want that record. And like I said, then I was like, well, I was told no, you weren't. I said, I'm pretty. And my note, but wow, like it looks different.
Right.
Now, what happened? Now, are we looking into a falsifying document situation? I'm confused. So it can, and then usually things get fixed right then and there because they don't want to go any further. But like I said, you need those receipts. And so any conversation you have, definitely send that email, follow up, or, you know, and you know, yeah, just have something to kind of co-sign whatever you felt as though the conversation was, and let them respond and say either no, it didn't happen, or it did happen, or whatever. You can have that dialogue right there on a computer or email, whatever the case may be. So that's a good first step to presenting your case.
In PA, I've also had to write stuff down on napkins, sticky notes, and tape them inside of a book. Like it's real out here.
So like that has value, but going into the EEOC courtroom, and I've been in situations where I had to represent an organization in those claims. The post-it notes they were like evidence that they used in arbitration. However, the emails with the time date stamp was what actually won the score.
Yeah, I love those emails.
They take the personal anecdotal
Yeah.
notes as a manifestation of everything, but that time date stamp on having all the information that it has about that organization is usually like kind of what guides you into having the best success of knowing the policy and whatever the outcome is that you're looking for. Yeah.
So and another thing I know, I at work, people come to me like, what do I do if something happens? They know I'm just but I'm
They
like,
know
don't
you that
sign
guy.
anything. They know I just be tripping. But don't sign anything, right? A lot of times you may go in somewhere, something happened, they will talk to you quick and sign this. It just shows you're at the meeting. No, thank you. Don't sign anything, right? Because you really need to know what you're signing. You need to make sure that's not a page of something else that you're signing that's going to add to something else, or you're agreeing to something. Don't get in your nerves. Sometimes they'll be, oh no, everything's fine. Everything is good. No, you're good. I needed you to sign.
Don't get flustered.
Right. Or get lulled into a false sense of security. They bring you in. You need to see some flowers on the desk. There's some chocolate, and they're just talking to you kindly. Don't do that. Once you sign something, that could be the end for you. So you don't have to sign anything right then and there. I don't care what they say. And you always ask to talk to someone above whoever is there.
I always ask the union representative to be present.
Yes,
when I was a
if you
W
have
two,
one.
if it's at a school or
Right.
certain organizations.
Y'all are really like at this whole loaded clip place of just retaliation and at the fight or flight like standpoint. But like some people are just recognizing that the stress that they carry with a migraine headache or with the stomach ache or the sleepless nights is really impacting them at work, and is also impacting them at home too. So like that work-life balance is unbalanced because of these things.
Well, what we're trying to tell her, like, she ain't have a headache. I ain't have no headaches, right? Because we can't let that job get to you, right? Because that's the job. You can get another one, and they can get another you. right? So you're worried about something while they're home. They're not thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not stressing about you, or even whatever you're going through. They're not dealing with those issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like people be at work, you know how you come back to work on Monday, everybody's still stressed out. And they would be like, "What you do over the weekend?" Oh, I'd be like, "Oh, I just got baked this morning." They'd be like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "I went to Houston just for the weekend by myself," or I drove down to Virginia Beach and just hung out with the family and just. They was like, "Was that planned?" I said, "No, just woke up and said I wanted to go somewhere close." Or so I think it's more so like I've always been about relaxation, being proactive, preventative care, just taking care of yourself in general.
Right. And
Because I
taking care
sleep
of
like a
yourself.
baby at night. That's the point.
And I have other things to worry about, and I shouldn't worry about work unless there's something at work to worry about. But whatever's going on, there's either you're going to have to deal with it at a certain point. And if you don't, you will have those headaches. You're going to have that anxiety. You're going to have stress. So and it seems scary, right?
Because it's overwhelming and stuff coming at you from all different aspects. So it might be stuff at home that you wanted to leave at home, but now you have to show up at work and perform and do your job at work. But the noise at home is so loud that you're not able to like really focus on that. And then the people at the job is coming at you with information. And it's like, okay, wait, how do I pause, all of this stuff happening to me or with me at one time and still show up effectively in my role?
I stay in the bed and sleep, but don't subscribe to my way. But I'm more like I just refuse. Like I just be like, you'll see me tomorrow or the next day. I got to get myself together, like processing the information because I know me. Because in my 20s, I used to say out loud. I talk aloud to myself. Somebody say something, I'd be real quick. Oh, I'm not doing that. That's not for me. And they'd be like, "What?" I said, "Oh, you heard me." I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not doing it." They'd be like, "What?" I said, "Document, do whatever warning, memorandum you got to do. I care about me more." And so I think I don't do that now, but I'm more so, I feel like I take a better approach now. And that's just, you'll see me the next day.
I mean, we got to control what we can control first, too. I mean, and it's very, like I said, it's very difficult, and you have to learn that you have some power. You have to learn that you're not a victim to the circumstance, or you don't have to continue to be a victim, right? So they may try to make you a victim. They may try to prey on you, but you have to get to a point where you're like, I can't take it. And if something's so bad, then that job is not for you. Even if you might have to, leave and look at some other options to sustain you. But if that's, if this job is killing you mentally and you're feeling at home and it starts affecting other areas of your life, it may be time for you to go, right? We can't stay in anything for a monetary gain because you're losing so much by trying to do that.
So then, like, if the job is paying me so phenomenally well or better than a job that I had before, I might mess up my reputation if I just walk away from this position.
I say create a plan. Realistically, I would say like create a plan. Like, okay, so I like
don't
to follow
do the
through.
revolt like Daryl said,
Right,
and we
right.
just
But
leave
if
it
I'm
out
trying
now.
but if let's say I signed a contract for 6 months, I try to see that through as best as possible, or a year or two. I try to stay on for such and such. But if it becomes too bearable, I make a plan to release myself gradually and slowly to something bigger and better. Because sometimes I've taken, as a W-2 employee, I've taken jobs that have paid even 20, 25 grand less, but they had a great work environment, made me want to come to work. Like, very inspiring, encouraging, and my life as a whole was fuller than the job where I made more money. I just supplemented in other areas. So I think it just depends on what you're looking for, where you're at in your life at the time, and what's going on in your life. In terms of responsibilities, that's what I mean.
And again, it's tougher. The more you have, the more it's difficult to walk away from things. The more responsibilities you have, that kind of locks you into some of these positions some of the time. Like, I got to stay at this job and take this abuse. Like I said, that abuse is going to come out in some form and other ways in your life. And is it worth it, right? Is it worth it to keep this status, but end up in a crazy house, right? Or your performance starts to slip and now you get fired, you know, or because you're not meeting deadlines because there's so much on you and you're stressing and now you're not meeting these deadlines. Some of these jobs are really, really tough. And if you're not at the top of your game, then you can't perform well, right? So a lot of things can happen negative. So I would say if you're, the first thing I would do is just try to fight whatever injustice is going on by learning the policies, talking to people, maybe sometimes speaking up does help, right? Once you speak up sometimes, that may make them aware that you're aware that you shouldn't be doing something or you're not going to be treated a certain way. And it may have helped people. They may back off somewhat. They may not, but then you push it to the next level, right? Because what are you going to lose? Either way, you're not happy. If you can find a way to happiness or making the job a little bit more bearable, I would say, why not do it? Why not try to do it? Can't live in fear. Fear.
And I think the fear comes maybe if you're looking for a promotion, but I think the fear probably comes more so from financial stability, which culturally we don't, you know, we don't talk about financial stability very well to kind of figure out how we could sustain ourselves by not allowing this job to be the boss of us in a sense. Because then we're wedded to the outcome of after I do 40 plus hours, my incentive is X, Y, and Z versus, you know, just kind of changing the way that you look at your income and your finances and your lifestyle so that you're not kind of living behind the 8 ball every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think I look at things differently. I think I've always been like, if I'm not here to enjoy it, or if I stress myself out to the point that I can't work at all, like I've missed out on that income or that money or whatever. So like, I don't know, because one time I mentioned about how it's a lot of Black professionals and a lot of people make this much money. And my family was just like, oh yeah, that's great. But she was like, we're like, my aunt, she broke it down. She was like, we're Black. We've always been able to do with nothing or little of much. So you're talking about this. That's not everybody's situation, which is true. But she was like, we're going to cook. We're going to make platters. We're going to babysit. We're going to do whatever we got to do to make whatever we got to do work. And I was like, that's true. But at the same time, when you get older, you know better. You can try to do better. So just even stuff like, for example, people don't realize, like, for example, you can take FMLA for 3 months.
Right.
Whether it's a stress from a therapist, you adopting a child, you taking care of a sick loved one, or you just need a break. Like, you really can't take FMLA
hold
for 3
your
months.
Position in place.
Right. Hold your position, not lose your job. You
that's
can
without pay. Does that come with pay?
That is without pay, but I'm just saying.
Well, it is without pay, but you could also get short-term disability at the same time that gives you your normal pay.
Yeah, but by the time the disability kicks in, you back at work already.
Not always.
Not always. Not because I've been in that situation. I was at work, got hurt, and I had to take all my days, which was like 2 weeks. Short term, I thought I was gonna be right back. The doctor was like, "No, I was on long term. If I was on disability 1 more month, I would have to take Social Security." And I was like 25. Things happen, life happens. So short term, like, it's correct. Only gives you 60% of your salary, but I was able to negotiate because I worked from the computer at home in the bed. I was able to negotiate over what I would have made every 2 weeks because every stitch of paperwork or every phone conversation they had to pay me for. And I had another contract outside my W-2 and outside of short term. You just have to know the policies. You just have to.
It goes back to what we said in the beginning, the policy.
Right. So if you do, like, you know, there's wage disparities with Blacks and whites and other minorities, and also with just women in general. So let's say their budget is $115K. But if you say, I only need 75, they're going to pay you 75. So unless you know how to, like, you've had some background in negotiation or you really speak up for what you think you're worth, you're not going to get what they budgeted for. They're going to end up hiring somebody else and paying them more money than they're paying you anyway. So you have to really know, like, the field you're in, what you're trying to do, what are your goals professionally, how long you want to work. you have to determine this kind of early or as you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you can take sabbatical. For example, I'm a teacher by trade. If you've worked, let's say you've worked 10 years and you have tenure in the district, you can take a whole year off and travel and still get paid.
Look
Like,
at
but
Daryl.
people don't
Daryl's
know
ready to
this.
be an educator now. Like, what? A whole
But
year?
people don't know this. So if you just know the little that's what
If you just know the benefits of you get 2
Yes.
weeks vacation plus the holidays, then you would never know that
Right.
there's so many other incentives. And even for that sabbatical, it could be an educational sabbatical. They
Yes.
do that with the city as well.
So it's like you can go, like, even if, like, say you teach high school, you
Mhm.
have an option taking a sabbatical to go be a writer in residence at a university in another state, or go somewhere else, or do nothing.
Mhm.
I know people like in PA. You
It
get
looked
your
like Daryl
permanent
was checking the his
Oh.
handbook. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
like you get your permanent teacher cert, and you can be gone for 50 years and
Mhm.
still return
Mhm.
and decide to teach again.
Mhm.
So, like, stuff like that.
And it, you know, the thing too is when you have these conversations about the different types of leave that you are eligible for, you have to realize that when you're speaking with your manager, they're going to try to slant it into how it's going to benefit them, that they're not losing,
and how it looks,
and how it looks, like what it looks for them as a manager, what it looks for you as an employee. And again, you really have to know like what your rights are, because they can end up influencing your decision of self-care or taking the leave or whatever it is that you need that's going to best serve you, to serve them more than it serves you. And then it's just like, okay, this didn't work out the way I intended it for it to work.
And even at times when I've gone back to attempt to be a W-2 employee, when I get calls,
I like how you said attempt.
they asked, we see a few gaps in your resume.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, what were you doing? I was like, I'm still consulting, when I felt like I was still doing my business education consulting. And they're like, how can you do that? How are you able to stay home? I said, well, I've decided.
Oh, that's an illegal question to ask
It
you
is.
in an
I
interview.
don't answer
I was offended for you. Like, what?
Yeah. So, so sometimes I decide to answer it. I took a break. Not a break from the profession, but just self-care. So I just think when people see that, they're like, how can you take a break for 2 or 3 years?
Because they're projecting what their life situation is. And again, that's an inappropriate question.
It is
to ask. That could be all type of harassment and gender bias and cultural bias
and ageism.
And oh, you must have a rich husband or a rich partner or somebody that you're able to do that. No, I was self-sufficient.
Yeah, right. So I think that's just the assumptions, especially when you're Black. It just, you can just sit all on their face. Like, what? Can you I've even been in an interview. They said, can you repeat that again? Can you explain what you mean by that? So, yeah.
It makes me think of an ageism situation, not for me personally, but someone who I worked with, who she has her doctorate degree, and she drove, I guess at that time it was considered like a name brand car. I'm not going to even say what the car was, but it was like a name brand car. And the employer was looking at the salary that she earns and said, well, how are you able to do all of this? That's an inappropriate question. Like, you're cultivating fear and intimidation because you don't understand how she's managing her money. Because for you can't see it being feasible to have your own apartment, this particular car, and traveling every 3 to 4 months as she was. It's not for you to understand.
Like I said, just tell me sell drugs. That's what I tell them.
And we were in an urban community, so she probably did believe that that's what was going on.
That's what they want to hear. So I sell drugs. Straight face and everything.
Right.
And then they don't talk to me anymore.
Pharmaceuticals, right.
Right.
Like, oh my God, let me tell you, Daryl said they be whispering down the aisle, like, you know,
y'all don't gotta whisper. I said I sell drugs.
And then the certain things in terms of the intimidation during interviews, how people like make assumptions. I don't really, or when I go to meetings, I don't really tell people what I do. I let them tell me what they need or what they want. What are they looking for? Like, it doesn't matter what I'm telling you what I do. What are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
You called me. I didn't call you.
Mm-hmm.
You looked at my resume. So I'm giving you a shot just hearing you out. What are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
So one job I really wanted, but I told them, I said, I don't think you should hire me because you're going to end up hating me very soon, very quick rather than later. I said, because I don't play by policies. I'm real clear about how I expect to be treated. And I'm very clear about just like when I see something not being done, especially the fraud, signing signatures and like coercion and all that good stuff. I don't take that lightly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they didn't hire me. Because I just felt like as soon as I would be there, I would probably be out in 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. I think sometimes when they say, well, you have like a full resume, you have a full resume, you know, what is it? How can this particular position assist you? Or like, you know, how do you see yourself fitting into this position? And that question already shows me that you're projecting insecurity based on how you receive my experience. Apparently my experience got me to us having a meeting, so like I'm not understanding where the question is coming from. But when you push the envelope and push back, then it's like you're not intimidating them, you're just having a clear and concise conversation. So we don't even have to look at if we're being an imposter to who it is that we show up to be. It's who we are. It's what we've earned. Ruth says a good point, Cam, is a job has to fit me like a glove. Like be a good match. That's what I'm gonna say. Has to be a good match in order for it to be a good, for us to be in sync. Because if they're questioning stuff at the beginning, you have to know what's important for you.
Yeah, me and interviews don't always gel well because I've been in interviews like just like this. I'm like, I'm confused. So I'm gonna just tell you this: you either want me or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're on the line about it, I'll just rather leave now. I've said that numerous times, and I felt just fine walking out because it's not. There's already that, and then one thing I don't like when jobs say, "What's your what kind of salary you want?" Not doing negotiations, but just your salary range.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much I need to get paid per my qualifications and per what you're looking for. I'm already overqualified for the job, so you have to choose. And it's like just trying to lowball you.
But you know what? Another thing that is not spoken but is happening is they want to know how much do you value the work that you bring to the team. So
that's a good one.
Whether you have done the research or not, they want to know how much do you know what your value is out here in these streets for the job that you are looking for, and have you done your research to know what matches, or do you not know your value and you just trying to get $10,000 or $5,000 more than what you had before, or can we get you at the dollar store rate? Like
yeah,
it could be a win. Daryl, somebody said, "Are you listening?"
No. Not at all. Don't worry about my box, Ruth. You all in my box.
She concerned. She be calling you out in the group conversations too. She concerned.
You know what I mean? I was looking up numbers and stats.
You always want the research. Always want the research.
I need the research.
So what'd you find in your research and development?
I couldn't really find anything as far as studies and stats. It was just talking about different type of harassments and things of that nature.
Okay.
And how it looks very different. Because it's a melanated harassment that undergoes, the regular harassment, and then it's on top of it, you have the melanated harassment on top of it. It's like a double harassment that sometimes
and then gender
you have, and then gender. So it gets tougher. It gets tougher for some. You have a lot more to unpack with when you in this harassment
like
category.
Space.
Right,
You know,
right.
and the other part about that too is if you left a job, like y'all talked about earlier, loading up the clip and just rolling out. If you haven't resolved, you okay over there camping your box? If you haven't resolved however those situations have made you feel, and I keep going back to feelings, but feelings is what we pack up and we end up carrying with ourselves. When you think, okay, I'm gonna just go to another job because it has to be better. The grass is greener on the other side. But what happens is if you don't deal with how you felt in those situations, when it happens again, you end up not only reacting to what's happening to you today, you reacting to every other time that you had this feeling. And sometimes the today person is about to get the whole volcano of you having a voice and advocating for yourself when you couldn't do it before.
I think I take breaks. You know how you take breaks from relationships? Like some people don't, just hop from body to body. I try not to collect too many bodies or jobs in this analogy.
In this context, right?
So if I feel like I'm collecting too many little jobs along the way, they're not even on the resume. They're just not on there. And and I kind of just stay home for a little bit. Because what do I really want in my, like, what trajectory am I on? Like, what am I trying to do at this moment or moving forward? Like short term, long term goal. And sometimes it's cheaper to stay home. When you factor in gas, car insurance, the time it takes to commute, the people you got to deal with, it costs less to stay home. So that's how, I don't know how other people deal with it.
When you say it costs less to stay home, I went into emotional fractures cost. I guess the clinician in me, I apologize. Actually, I don't apologize, but like the emotional weight that people carry into situations, like, are you protecting yourself from something? Are you avoiding certain interactions, judgments, classifications, or are you willing to learn and grow past those?
Oh, I feel like I'm willing to learn to grow past it, but sometimes you just need a break.
Okay.
You just need to just be
More
by
than
yourself.
a vacation break?
Huh?
More than just going on vacation?
Yeah, sometimes you just need to live with yourself and get yourself together and write and find out what you really want, like in a relationship. But in terms, I like to say job shit. Like, what do you really want? Like, what do you want?
Right.
Because you'll take anything. Like you said, the jobs wonder if they can get you for $3 or you know,
or do you know your true
Chick-fil-A?
value?
I don't know.
Right. Right.
Like what your example was from earlier.
Other than y'all loading up the clip and making it happen.
I think also going into a job, I think you need to, when you're going into it, understand what you need from this job, how much you need this job, what you want from the job. Because that could also help you in getting stuck maybe in a position you don't want to be in or something like that. Or, while you're at the job, you maybe look for other jobs at the same time so that you're not like stuck to do whatever this job is asking you to do. I understand there's always other jobs, man. There's somewhere else to go. But like you said, you do have to resolve some of those issues. And maybe that feeling of hurt or that feeling of the job hurt or whatever the case may be. You don't want to carry that job hurt from job to job because then it's not the job, it's you. So you got to try to recognize.
Or it could be industry too. It could
based
be
on the industry you're in,
but it could be industry, which is also you. In that reflection time, is this industry the best industry for you at this time? Like, can you really meet the standard of what it is that this job, this career, are you so wedded to the title and the income that comes with that you don't see that maybe you're not the good fit for this anymore? Maybe the times are changing that you need to level up in a different way. So it's like, how do you measure,
I can't. Okay, you know how you can meet somebody. I always say I feel it in my bones. Like I can meet somebody and know when, like, in about 30 seconds, if we're going to get along or not, business or professional, or if it's going to work. And listening to my inner voice or inner being, I feel like, oh, this is not going to work. But I try to give things a try, but then I'm like, wasn't the best fit, or it's just not working out at this moment. It's a great job, great everything, but it's not for now, for later.
Mm-hmm.
So I always go into, I don't care how good the job is. The job's not loyal, just like people ain't loyal.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to show up every day and be the best me that I can be for that day, for that job.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
So if I'm there to serve the students, I'm not thinking about adults and all these other people that you got to get, like, supposed to get along with. I'm not thinking about politics. I'm thinking about how am I going to move these students? How can I benefit? Like, how can I get them to their aha moments, to progress?
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole being, not just educationally. So what everybody else saying, they can be in the toilet. I just, that's how I think going to it. Because I only have a job because of them, not because of you. We're here to serve in terms of schools and students and
Right.
other organizations.
Well, the productivity can look the same even if it's not you being an educator. Like the
True.
productivity and bottom line is what process or place that you have on that leveraging the outcome. So you gave it from an educator standpoint. It could also be from a productivity standpoint, or whatever the goals are for the company. What is your piece of the puzzle that you're doing actively each day?
But I do like organizations that they actually have therapists on staff for the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody they can, a mediator, somebody they can just go talk to,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day.
Right. So what about when dress code is an issue, or like dress code is like the thing that's creating the fear or intimidation in the workplace, that's becoming either a distraction, either self-created, or they picking on somebody
Or picking on everybody.
or picking on
Yeah,
everybody.
right. So you said distractions.
Yeah, like I know it kind of happened where the job, something happened and the workers got really upset, and they had like we'll say a little town hall where everybody could speak their mind, and people were speaking their mind. And what came from the meeting was, we see people in jeans, no jeans anymore.
That was it?
That's what came from everything they heard. And it was so punitive that,
Was it that they didn't
really,
want ripped jeans, or they just
right.
want jeans?
no,
Jeans,
period. Which were, it was one of the things that where jeans were fine. That's the only retaliation they had.
Oh, that's how they got
Now,
you back.
nothing
Got y'all
that
back.
was said. Yeah, nothing that was said was addressed. But what came out was no more jeans. What's that got to do with anything?
Right.
And it set people off. It made the level of discord at work go through the roof. Like, we were already upset about something, and this was like the icing on the cake. We're like, yo, you are bugging.
Mm-hmm.
And it went. So for the next couple months, it was really uncomfortable. Maybe the next few months, very uncomfortable with what and how people were responding, to the point where they had to lift it and, like, go back to doing what you were doing. But it was so crazy that it just the feeling after that happened was crazy. It just was like people were insane.
I could see testing that, pushing an envelope in regards to, if I'm not able to wear jeans, they must mean denim.
Yes.
And jeans come in a whole bunch of different colors other than denim.
Mm-hmm.
And
you should have saw the colors. You should have saw the colors. You should have saw the colors.
I'm sure.
Oh, I was killing them. I had red, yellow, bright
Oh
yellow.
my gosh.
Killing them. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
You hear me? Leopard. I was in
females
there
had the jeggings.
killing them. So jeggings is a problem. Jeggings, yeah, leopard. Listen, but so jeggings, I know women had issues. Some women have issues with it only because body shaming. Mm-hmm. Certain women can wear jeggings and no one will say anything. But if you're a little curvaceous, your jeggings are now inappropriate.
Gotcha.
Same jeggings.
Sounds like, wasn't that on the news this week? I don't really know the full story. I just know that there's a woman of color who was in a sports. She's a sports coach, and she wore
the pink pants.
She wore the pink pants. Yeah. But I don't
This
like
world right here.
And it was like somebody, like they said, a black male brought it to everybody's attention, and it was like he was just hating because she's an assistant coach and he's not.
Oh wow.
So what did he bring to the attention? I don't know what happened. I heard the hoopla about it because when I seen the pictures, everybody was like, "Yo, I'm going to the game. I got tickets. I'm
Like,
going to go
she's
see it." I
beautiful.
didn't
Looks
see
very nice in
right.
what she had on.
I didn't see any of the
And it's her
negativity.
style of dress.
It
so like,
is.
why can't she
Right.
rock out her style of dress? Like, I know I have
Right.
friends who wear stilettos every single day. So like, I'm not going to judge them because that's how they choose on their casual going to the airport, rocking in stilettos. I'm going in sneakers.
Well, the thing was, I seen other picture and it seemed like I said, this is what she does. This wasn't like a one off where she just one day came out this way. Every picture I seen when she's on the sideline,
nice.
she's bad.
Very
like
nice.
she dresses very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't. Okay, someone outfit criticized me. Okay.
So they were concerned about the heels on the court.
Yeah, because she didn't have one of them Grandma Randall or Usher shoes heels. So that's why.
Right. Right. I mean, and she's bringing a different flavor, but it's how she's
not boring.
So is she bringing a different flavor again? So maybe the pink, right? The color of the pink might be different.
I think it threw people off. With him off.
Well, again, she was curvaceous. She was curvaceous.
She is.
That's what it really is. That's what it really is. If someone else wore those pink pants and didn't have that body, I don't think we'd have this conversation.
Right.
And I want to go look at other coaches and see what they wear when they wear their pantsuits and things of that nature. I don't see anyone saying anything. But so, like I said, I seen it happen at work myself, where one of the girls wore the jeggings and she was sent home, and I'm like, look, she got jeggings on. They're baggy. Her jeggings are baggy. Obviously, she is missing the whole back. She left her thing in the car, but she got jeggings on as well. So it's not across the board. It's like, well, right. I see you, and it's almost like I'm jealous or I'm intimidated or whatever reason. Now I see that your shape is showing, and now it's a problem. Mm-hmm. If I was straight up down like a wall, it would be fine. So it becomes a problem.
I can't with you, Daryl.
Yeah, it was, and I was like, wow, I don't see anything wrong with the jeggings. I think they're fine.
But I think that okay, so we're speaking of it in regards to what was in the news, but the outfits that different cultures wear.
No, this is at work. For me, it was at work.
I understand. I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking it away. You was distracting them with your curvaceous.
Well, I was going to ask you what you meant by distracting, because there's some things that have been distracting that everybody should wear but did not wear.
What you mean?
Underwear.
Oh, underwear. Oh, no slip.
Like that's distracting.
Well,
everybody.
Somebody. Shut up, Mary May.
No.
I was about to say the person that didn't wear underwear.
I'm not saying no person. I'm just saying like this has happened on more than one job I've been at. Mm-hmm. And how do you address that?
Wait, how do you know she don't have underwear on? That's what I don't. I'm
well, the one person that we knew she didn't have underwear on because she began leaking.
Peed on herself. But couldn't I go through the panties?
Yeah, but it just came too crystal clear. Like it wasn't no blockage.
Well, if you're bending over several times and do something like if you're teaching little kids, you're picking up every little thing in the classroom.
Okay, right.
And if you're visiting, observing, you just see things. If you're observing the student
that you don't want to see.
So is that a dress code? Is it a dress code that you have to wear panties?
I wasn't going there. I really wasn't going to go there for as far as that they have to wear panties. I was about to go to the generalization.
They did. They had a meeting about it. They had a
whole meeting about your mic.
They had a whole meeting.
But I will say
his mic is out. They're like, his mic is out all the time. I said, wait, why are you talking about me?
But I think that we experience this also in workplaces in general when women are curvaceous and they utilize fashion and style in certain ways that if people are not, I guess, prepared, which I don't know how you're supposed to prepare them. Like You went with your income, you purchased the outfit, you felt that it was appropriate. It doesn't
within dress code. Okay.
within dress code, and it doesn't stop your productivity like in the workplace. So what we really saying? If you're not flat as a board, then you got one dress code versus other people.
Right. I was saying,
Yes.
sometimes it's the same outfit. It can be the same
Same
outfit,
exact outfit.
and
Yes,
it
I
just fits
agree.
you differently.
Mhm.
What I'm hushing for, the roof? I didn't do anything.
No, that was when your
Um.
outfit was they was telling you to put the mic away.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't hush. I didn't say nothing about my mic.
Oh,
Go
Ruth
with
says
your thought, sir. Go with your thought. Go with your thought.
I done lost it. 'Cause I didn't think about my mic out. Now I don't
he
know
said
what I was
same.
No,
It
talking
should
about.
be
we talking about the
cleavage.
curvaceous outfit, and it could be the same person that just
Oh, right.
like,
It can be the same. It can be the same outfit, but contingent upon how it looks on somebody, now it
Look
violates the
different.
dress code. Contingent upon how it looks, and I stood with the curvaceous women. Let them wear what they want to wear.
Mhm, mhm.
And what about Ruth brought up the cleavage?
Right.
So that's another
Right.
issue. Like you
You know
wear a
what?
certain shirt, looks nice, or a dress, but you can't help that.
That your cutlets is coming out.
Yeah, or that you
Right.
got
Right.
you was blessed with
Mhm.
more than others.
Now
Right.
that could be a problem too. Because now if you looking, I mean, it's out. Now they think, well, he looking at it. Now you got a whole sexual harassment because he's looking at their breast that they got out.
Well, because sometimes people look at you at your breast.
True.
Like if their eye
Well,
contact is at your breast because of whatever.
if they out, what are you gonna look at?
Sometimes they ain't even always out. They
Whew.
just different than what they see elsewhere. So
Right.
they, gonna
Oh
try
no,
to
they out. They
manipulate
out.
the
Don't.
situation.
No,
Well,
you're
okay,
manipulating. You're manipulating. They're out. We see
so
them out.
yeah, so I've had that problem in the past, but you know how you like in church you have to put the little
The cloth,
little I guess
the
blanket or
prayer
whatever you
cloth.
want to call it,
No, they call it a prayer cloth.
prayer
The
cloth that
the
you put over
coochie
your
cover.
legs.
It's called a coochie cover.
I used to, because I used to nurse my older kids, so I used to have like a receiving blanket or whatever, but I had something that would like a shawl or something that I could wear with multiple outfits. If I was leaving the classroom or if I was going to be around kids, I used to just kind of drape it over me. And
Mhm.
people thought that was because it went with the outfit. No, because I didn't want to have complaints about, oh, you're trying to show this. And
Mhm.
I wasn't. Just the outfit, boobs wasn't out. It's just, just a little cleavage. So I used to wrap myself up before leaving the classroom.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I just think that different body types sometimes get stigmatized,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's
Absolutely.
utilized against you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, used
Absolutely.
against you when it comes to a promotion because of how they feel the imaging. That could also include your hair. It's supposed to be in that next level of position that you're trying to go for. If your hair, your outfit, everything is not in alignment, they're like, well, how will this person fit in if we were to give them a promotion? Like you have all of the skill set, but the person who
Your
doesn't
image.
have that image, then
Mhm.
they're gonna say they're gonna skip over you. But it's like, how is that appropriate?
Right. Well, it's not appropriate, to be honest.
Right.
But
But
it's
is that
just a
in the
form of
policy?
discrimination.
Right. It's work discrimination. And it's in the
Well,
policies.
so
But it's
I
not
was say
clearly in
sometimes.
the policy.
Well, sometimes it definitely is in the policy, no jeggings, right? And that's where the practice.
It is, yeah.
That's where the practice gets you in trouble because you're so used to the practice that you're wearing these jeggings that are really not supposed to be worn. I know, well, in the one job I was at, they weren't supposed to be worn at all. But they didn't say anything when you did. But it was one of those things where when I want to get you,
I got you.
now this is what I'm going to write on your whatever your report is, or while we're writing you up, this is something else we're putting. And when you say, well, everybody else does, we're not talking about everybody else.
Talking about you.
You don't, and we can say you can't even, you don't know what happened with everybody else. That's why they don't want you talking about anything that happened. They're like, you don't know what happens to him. You can't speak to that. But we're going to let you know, we're going to have to let you go because of this, and you're jeggings. Thank you.
And I remember when one of the schools I was at changed the policy like mid-year. It was like when leggings are still popular, but it was like no yoga pants, no even if they were black, and no like leggings or whatever. So what I would do, they had to be like full opaque stockings or tights. So what I would do was wear my boots that was higher, like that was more than ankle, that kind of went thigh. So I could still wear them, or I would wear longer, like I would wear a tunic.
Because
I love me some yoga pants.
Because they're comfortable, and it's like it seems as if you're able to navigate covering the midsection of your body, then you can get away with it. They won't have much to say, but if there's anything that's accentuated more than possibly other people, then it's deemed as a distraction. So it's like that would create some intimidation and fear, like in the workplace, that makes it uncomfortable. Like, how can I just not show up and be me? Like, I'm coming to work, I'm doing my job. What's this have to do with me doing my job?
But it came to a point where they said we had to. Okay, you could wear your own clothes. I guess you could. They instituted a uniform. White shirts, khaki bottoms, or navy for teachers. Like, you know, like a typical student uniform. But then it was more dress code issues because you say a white top. Some people might not wear the right undergarments, or like, you know,
right.
or you know, undershirt, or just wear certain things and shirts were see through, different materials. So that was another dress code issue at that point.
But sometimes even enforcing the dress code is tricky. I know a male supervisor like, I'm not telling that woman anything. I'm not even going to look that direction. I'm not going to say your shirt is cut too low, or those are jeggings. I'm not even putting myself in that predicament, because now what could she say?
Harassment, sexual harassment.
Right. And he was like, I don't care. I'm not saying anything. He was telling us, like, they want us to, you know, point it out. This is when they had to switch from the jeans. They were trying to really stick to the dress code. And he's like, they might as well just, you know, write me up, because I'm not saying anything. You know?
Yeah, I just remember one time somebody, I guess an admin, they said something about what I had on. I said, look, you got 10 teachers out. I actually showed up. So are you going to complain about what I have on, or you want me to stay and work?
Right.
If not, I'm going home.
Right.
And she was like,
you go loading that clip again.
Well, again, she was in a power position. She said,
exactly.
You got 3 teachers.
She used her power.
Okay. Yeah, you got 3 teachers. You want to have 2? I can go home and change. I ain't coming back.
And they used to dock you for dressing out of dress code, but I didn't get docked either.
Right.
Because I worked the whole day.
Yeah, I know they told me a couple times they're going to send me home. I was like, don't threaten me with a good time. I definitely won't be back. I can guarantee you won't see me the rest of the day.
Right.
Quick
right.
dress code.
So fashion is definitely read different in different lifestyle practices. Since you added Quaker, which is why I said lifestyle practices instead of culture. But like, yeah, they're not gonna. The shabby is what their normal is.
So I would say when I worked at a more diverse school, and I just came in with, like, you know, like a solid color, you know, a print, like a just not drabby, but just not so like culturally, you know, you know what I'm saying. And I would walk in, they was like, "Oh, you look so nice today. You're so dressed up." And in my head, I just threw something on.
Right, you just do something together real quick,
just to go to work. So,
excuse my urban community.
So I just feel like the standards were different,
right?
And when I worked at an all like majority Black school, it was like you had to be on your you had to be sharp. Like,
oh, right.
Every day sharp.
We not here to play.
Right.
Right.
And I was just like, and I even had to question myself, can I live up to that sharp everyday standard, like Sunday's best?
Right.
And I'm with Ruth. I would be offended with the shabby as well, because there's so many other characteristics that come with that just don't sit well in the work environment.
True. Yeah. It's not workplace appropriate.
It's not workplace appropriate. So it's like we should never be side by side and in a comparison based on cultural values and beliefs. We just dress different, and we have been conditioned as melanated folk that fashion is important, or like how we represent ourselves as important, that we have to show up in a certain manner for certain places.
And I just refuse. I don't know if I shouldn't say refuse, because, you know, I have like 20 pairs of glasses. So somebody at work, I felt like it was a microaggression at one point. They was like, I've noticed you have so many glasses. And I was just like, yeah, just like you change your makeup every day, like just how you wear your makeup. And they were like, I wasn't saying her makeup was bad. I was just kind of saying like, mind your business. Like, what is wrong with
glasses is makeup?
Right, that's how I feel. Glasses are makeup, but it was more like it was like, oh, you can afford having the like you're black and it just be too much for me. So I just be like, just like you wear your makeup every day. That's how my glasses mean to me. So yeah, they're different.
And if they really knew the skinny on glasses, they're not that expensive to have.
Correct. So just like certain things, it depends on the culture of the the organization you're in.
So and that's I think the most important thing is like, we work in these different environments, hybrid or not, like in these days moving forward and people trying to move back into everybody being at a location. The culture, yes, know the policy, like as far as what's expected, but you also have to kind of take a temperature and probably even ask that in an interview, like what is the expected dress code? How do we communicate? How do we address and identify the different people? Because are you going to recognize me with my unique name? I mean, my name is not unique, but like, if I have a name that's what I want to say, ethnic, possibly, are you going to pronounce my name appropriately, or are you going to demonstrate a microaggression or some kind of, differentiate? Oh, what's your nickname? No, my name is, whatever the name is.
I got asked today, does your first name have an apostrophe? I said, huh? Like it took me for a loop. Apostrophe. I said, no. My family don't do apostrophes.
They don't do apostrophes.
I know, like, 70s and 80s, the love, the lead, the tuh, the shut with the, that's great. That's not.
You absolutely right, Ruth. It's uniquely biblical.
It's not, yeah. I felt like that was kind of a microaggression too.
What'd you say, Daryl?
There's a Mary, really.
It is uniquely biblical.
It is.
I don't know. Okay, we're not gonna get on names that are very
I wasn't going there. I just was trying to use the example, but I wanted to be clear that I wasn't saying that my name should be mispronounced. However, my last name is often mispronounced or misread or read as it's a part of my full name. And I'm like, yeah, I just correct them.
Right. And that's all you do is correct them the first time.
Right, the first time, but it becomes a microaggression other than that.
Oh, can we call you by your first name? No.
Yes, Mr.
You got an apostrophe in your name now, Daryl.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
So, have we covered like cultivating fear or ways to get away from fear, even though y'all was loading up the gun early on? Like, we ain't doing this.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Be able to know your value, because if you want to be dollar store value, they will pay you dollar store value. If you want to know your career, do the research. Like the research is out there, so you don't have to have a wage gap.
Understand that you are a commodity. That business, whatever business, wherever you're at, they need you. Right? That's why they hired you to do a job. So, meaning you have some power too. It's not, you're not at their beck and call. You shouldn't be their slave. And if you feel that way, then I really believe that job is not for you. You got to get out of there. You got to beat you down.
Because enslavement is still happening these days. I talked to somebody today that is in an enslaved situation today in the city of Philadelphia. Yeah. Camp, you got any closing thoughts in regards to
I just say I was just like, I would say educate yourselves and whatever makes you feel liberated, what's best for you. Self-care is important. And take it a day at a time. I'm all or nothing, but don't do it, me and Daryl.
Don't do the revolte work to eliminate fear.
We live a little different. And I think I would say is that new orientation training that is your key to success because they're giving you the keys right there. They're giving you most of the time the policies. They're telling you what it is, and we just sleep through it. Yep. Right? We sleep through it. We don't pay attention.
We don't.
But I would say,
like, am I getting paid for this?
Right. But I would say, take that a little more serious and try to see and the parameters of the job, and you'll learn more from that of what you can and can't do and what they can or cannot do. Because once you get into the job, when you get into the culture, which may not reflect the policy. So you may be operating from practice and not policy. And you can kind of say, look, I don't necessarily want to do that because this is what I should be doing. Or if you ever want to step away from something, you can always lean on the policy.
And I would say, to back that up, clarify your job description, because sometimes your job description can overlap with somebody else's, but there are certain expectations, the culture versus what you actually supposed to do in your job title. And sometimes if you're not doing what's expected with your job, but you're doing what they expect versus culture, when it comes time for your mid-year evaluation, sometimes it's not pretty. And you're like, well, I did what was asked of me. No, but did you actually do what you got hired to do? So that's a big
disconnect.
Yeah, disconnect of just how that looks on the spectrum.
Right. Like
so that's important too.
Or kind of what Kent was saying, or maybe you're doing your job and another job.
Right.
That you're not getting paid for. And you're doing these two jobs and you're killing stuff to do two people's jobs. And that may not be something that you are necessarily supposed to do. And you can, if you know your job title, hey, listen, I'm not supposed to be also printing the paper after that's somebody else supposed to do that.
Be a team player, but they're not giving you their salary while you're doing their job.
Right.
I don't know what team we're on, and when people say it's a team, I don't know who we're going to play. Are we going to play another team? Are we going to win something? I'm not a team player.
No, because a lot of jobs be like, "Are you a team player?"
Yeah, I don't play on a team. Like, this is not a team.
As I say, I'm here to get the job done, however that looks.
Yeah. I don't play. I'm not a team. I'm just telling you, me, it's not a team. I don't know. Are we gonna go play somebody? Do we have away games? I don't know what y'all talking about. It's not.
So y'all don't believe in it together? Everyone achieves more, like, method. Like,
I'm not saying I don't believe
like collaboration over competition. Like, none of those.
But you know how there's a transference of emotions. There's a transference of duties. You can be cool with somebody that's on your team, like whatever your department, and they be giving you stuff. I got you. You end up doing their job, but they're not passing over no coins.
Yeah, I'm not.
So it needs to be reevaluated.
No, I'm not. I'm not here. I'm not here to make your day easier. I'm just saying, don't ask me because I can't do it ever. I can't. Sorry. Hey, I need help with. You still need help with.
If you need to position yourself for exiting that job, and you're not just gonna go the route of the revolt that was mentioned earlier in this conversation, be sure to plan an exit strategy, and save what it is that you need to save. Even if it's a sacrifice in you saving, like, you have a different trajectory in place, but you have to put some things and kind of go through that sacrifice so that you can get to the place that you're really trying to get to, so that when you exit, you're not strapped.
And get your letters of recommendation early. Like, if you're in certain jobs, get them early. Like, get them before you really start showing before you start showing who you really are.
Right.
No, that's the letter signed on a date. A good one. So you have them. So when you do leave, you have them. You can't wait till the last minute when you're about to go, because you might have burned all the bridges. So get them early.
Or they so burnt out and exhausted, and then looking at what they got to do now because you're leaving. They don't have time to write the letter. Can you just write it and I sign it? No, that's not authentically a reflection of my work.
Right. So I said get them early. I was taught that, and that was really good. Somebody taught me that, and that was really excellent. So I got them pretty early the first couple of months. And then once the shenanigans start, when no one liked me, I could have never got them then. But I had them, and I got your name, and here you signed it, said how great I was. can't recant now. I have you
can't take that back.
Writing signature. Here it is. This is you on the dotted line. Look at this. I got you. Put them in the file and save them until for a rainy day. If that's not your last stop, if that's your last stop, then okay. But if it's a job to get you to another point, then get those letters of recommendations early.
And you never know when it's your last stop or not. Like, you could be with the intention of kind of breaking up with a portion of your professional resume, and then life happens and you got to fall back into it. So you got to make sure you don't totally burn bridges.
I don't burn bridges. I just keep a Rolodex of names and numbers.
A real Rolodex or a fake Rolodex?
Both.
Okay. I'm gonna keep moving. The last thing that I want to point out is that we mentioned, if you have conversations with people and they might have alternative recall, you want to make sure that after you have that meeting, you send an email and that you print that email out so that you have a time date stamp of what the agreement was or what the understanding was. So then that way, if they go back in and have Big Brother either eliminate that email from your contacts, or they change the words of what the communication was, you have the original for you.
Forward every email to yourself as well. To your other personal email.
You could actually forward to your personal.
And they might block it though, but yes.
I also screenshot text messages.
Oh, absolutely.
When they first come through.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I got one right. I'm holding on one right now. I had it for 2 years.
Just waiting. You are?
Oh, absolutely.
I am 2 years?
I am waiting to use this. Please. I got one for them. Like, oh, really? I'll do you one better. I got a big joker.
This adds to the list on the reasons why you don't upgrade in your fruits and vegetables phone service that you have. You don't upgrade the phone.
Well, now it's lucky because you send everything to the cloud.
Yeah, or you can use the same SIM card and put it in the updated phone.
Right. So things can go with.
I've done that too.
Yes.
SIM cards.
Yes, definitely keep these copies at home because you never know when those conversations go left and they're gonna come to your workspace
right
and
say, desk, because remember that's not yours. They'll come right to your space because it's not your space. Understand? Yeah, they understand it's not yours.
Oh, and it's a good thing to keep L&I, OSHA, keep certain numbers, compliance numbers with the state. Just keep them on deck. You can also send in an anonymous tips, like anonymous statements to the state, and they will come and investigate it, and they won't know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
But don't do it on the organization's email.
Don't do it on their cell phone. Don't do it on their laptop.
Right.
Don't do it on anything that they have issued
do it on
out
work time. Try not to do it on work time sometimes as well. If that time stamp is 3:30 and you're supposed to be at work, they may consider that an outside work activity, which means you're using work property inappropriate.
Still in time, how they like to say.
Or it can be termination using a work property for personal business. Could be a problem. So be careful. They do try to find ways to protect themselves as well. They're going to protect themselves as well. They have a lot of.
And HR is for them. It's not for you.
Oh, I feel like the other way around.
Don't go in there and think they're going to. Hey, and I don't know about the union either sometimes. So
I
say it's good to get to know the head of HR and just establish a work relationship with them.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you gotta go to court.
True.
She said she's gonna keep her job, or he said he's gonna keep his job. HR. Yeah, right. Cool, but they did it.
That's fine.
They did all that. So yeah,
they did all of that.
I don't put too much faith in anyone outside because even your people at your job, they want to keep their job sometimes, and they may not have the spirit. Yeah, they want to have the spirit you have to fight the injustice. And a lot of time when you're going and you're marching, you look around and you're marching by yourself.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you talked about the revolt. That a lot of times people are in agreement in the lunchroom, and if you did happy hour, everybody is in agreement. Then when it comes to actually doing it, they're now looking at their personal accountability or risk, and they not behind you, to kind of follow and do whatever it is you need to do. Okay, wait. Also remember, if you do speak to a work counselor or therapist and you go to the EOC, you cannot
be sure that
okay. Or be sure to get the therapist to file a claim.
Or you can't be sure if the therapist will file a claim if there are issues.
Right. So here's the tricky thing with therapy at the workplace. It's better. People don't usually want to invest. They want to use their health insurance because they feel like they've earned that, and therapy is expensive. And therapy can be expensive based on the years of experience or specialty reasons that you go into a certain therapist. However, HIPAA is not really real. So if your employer is providing your health insurance or your accessibility to therapy, then and they have any justification or any reason or cause that your work performance is, not up to par, they can request all of those records. Now,
What?
as a therapist, you are trained to not write everything in the notes in case those moments occur. However, they hire therapists to read between the lines of what's written and what's not written. So somebody wrote that the therapist for the company works for the company and not you, is pretty
Oh,
much what they're
absolutely,
saying.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Which is the reason why HIPAA can be canceled out.
Right. It's just the fine line. I just remember seeing something in the lunchroom, not the lunchroom, but like the teacher sandwich, and I was just talking about an experience I had and how they gave me a messed up evaluation, but they never observed me. They went back and told that person.
Mm-hmm.
And they was like, the person feels some type of way. I said, you can go run to whatever I said, because whatever I said, I already told them, and I have it written down that I said this in front of everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no miscommunication
No
about what I
secrets.
said.
Right.
You understand? You
Right.
heard me.
You heard me though. You heard me. Well, I hope that you guys have heard all of the nuggets that we shared in this conversation, including when people was loading up the clips and just, rattling out how they're going to do the revolts or whatever. Hope that it made sense to you, be it if you're on a W-2 side or the contractor side. And just generally, like, knowing that how you feel, how you react, work-life balance, one thing does impact the other. And so just always be mindful of how you stay balanced as opposed to imbalanced. But if you are imbalanced, pay attention to that too, because that's your body, your mind, and your energy telling you that it's time to make a move or a change. All right. Until next week, we
Bye,
shall
people.
bye. We shall see you guys. Ruth said, great conversation, but keep those clips loaded. You know what, Ruth, you're not supposed to be around the way with them. You're supposed to, I don't know. Them Quaker people got you chopped. Thanks to everybody who listened live or even on the replay. We'll catch you next week. Take care.